State of the workforce. Let's go, y'all. So we're going to look at this from a couple different pillars. So governing philosophy, how the government, what is their philosophy around the workforce and how they govern the workforce and the labor force. We're going to look at employment policies and trends, wage and hour policies, and industry-specific impacts. And then there will be embedded in each of these 4 pillars will be practical steps for you and some of the things that may impact you and some of the tactical things that you can do to take advantage and maximize all of the industries. If you guys can mute, that would be great. If you're not on mute, make sure you mute your phone. So governing philosophy, and again, we're looking at the philosophy of the government as it relates to the workforce. So the president's job is to enforce federal laws and appoint leaders to agencies like the Department of Labor and the National Labor Relations Board, or it's called the NLRB. These appointments and policies trickle down to everyday jobs, businesses, wages, and workplace rules. Now, this is important because what it shows us is that it starts at the top. It starts at the top with the president and goes down. He appoints people over these specific agencies like the Department of Labor, the National Relations Board, and then they affect how businesses run their companies with their employees, the type of roles, the type of job titles, the type of compensation, and the workplace rules. So we want to understand what the president does as it relates to the workforce, who he hires, and what they're responsible for. So now that we know what the philosophy is of the government as it relates to the workforce, we can continue and see how it, excuse me, affects us. And so what this president, President Trump, he has what's called the America First agenda. This is his agenda that he discussed before he was elected president. And he discussed in there 10 different pillars. And what I did, because this is my wheelhouse, this is what I look at, these are one of the areas that I focus on, is I looked at the very first pillar, which is in red, where it says, make the greatest economy in the world work for all Americans. And I'm going to show you this in detail. So Trump's workers first philosophy represents a comprehensive effort to prioritize American workers through various policy measures. His agenda leans on business-friendly policies, this is important, which may reduce job regulations and reshape industries, creating new career opportunities while also changing job protections. That's a mouthful, that's a lot. But this is his agenda. This is what he discussed before he was elected. These are some of the things he's going to be putting in place as a result of his election. Let's take a deeper dive into that. Let's look at the America's First agenda. And you all can go here to agenda, write this down, agenda.americafirstpolicy.com. I'll say it again, agenda.americafirstpolicy.com. When you get there, this is his agenda for America. What we want to look at and what we're looking at today is the workforce. What part of his agenda is affecting the workforce? So you'll find that in pillar number 1. So you're going to click on the first pillar. As you can see, there's 10. Let me just show you. There's 10 pillars here. So we're going to click on pillar number 1. And what this brings up to us is work for all Americans. This is what we're looking for. This is what we're looking for. We're going to go down to chapter 2. So pillar 1, chapter 2. You'll see it right here in light blue. You're going to click on that. This is where we're at, and this is the basis of our conversation tonight. We're not going to read this, but I wanted to show you how to get here so that when you check this out on your own, you'll have a demonstration of how to get here. And so you can go through, like I said, we won't read all of this, but what I recommend is for you to sign up for this newsletter so that you can stay informed. This is not about emotions. This is not about how we feel. This is not ego driven, but we want to always be informed. So I've signed up for the newsletter and I'm just recommending you consider signing up for it yourself. Underneath this America First agenda, chapter 2, pillar 1, chapter 2 is where you're going to go. If you scroll down, as I mentioned, I'm not going to read through the entire thing, but here's where I want you to focus. So when you do this on your own reading, on your own time, this is what I want you to look at. When you scroll down to the middle of the page, you're going to see the America First agenda. And as you can see, it starts with the federal level. So he separated it into a federal level agenda. And if you go down, here's a state level agenda. And again, I'm not going to read through all of this. We have a lot to get through tonight, but I'm sharing and showing this to you so that you can take it upon yourself to go through this. So again, we went to pillar 1, chapter 2. I highly, highly recommend for you to go through all of these facts. I want you to go through all of these paragraphs. I want you to sign up for this newsletter.
Clean that.
KK, can you mute for me, please? Thank you, hon. And
Sorry,
then you can also,
I'm
no
muting.
problem, hon. You can also download this chapter. There's a lot of information, but so you don't get lost, I just guided you through where to go and where to read, okay? So we're gonna go back. Can everybody see the presentation? Yes? Somebody hit the space bar and tell me yes. I can't see the chat. If you can see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so we talked about the America First agenda. This is the premise of our conversation tonight. This is the foundation. This is where the information is coming from. So let's keep going. We know how to get there on our own. We know exactly where to go. This is where you want to go to find out information. And we're going to sign up for the newsletter. All right. Now, one of his focus areas, if you haven't heard already, is going to be the federal government. There will be changes. So there are plans to make federal jobs more performance-driven, allowing more opportunities for those seeking government roles. Let's take a listen.
Getting the funds you need for your business can be challenging. That's why we built NavPrime. Build your business credit history.
Are you expecting to close down entire agencies like President Trump has talked about the Department of Education, for example? Are you going to be closing down departments?
We expect mass reductions. We expect certain agencies to be deleted outright. We expect mass reductions in force in areas of the federal government that are bloated. We expect massive cuts among federal contractors and others who are overbilling the federal government. So yes, we expect all of the above. And I think people will be surprised by, how quickly we're able to move with some of those changes, given the legal backdrop the Supreme Court has given us.
So we heard him, right? He didn't bite his tongue. He didn't stutter. He didn't mince words. He's telling you exactly what they're going to do. There's no need to think about it. There's no need to hem and haw about it. There's no need to wonder about it. He told you straight up what he's going to do. They're going to cut jobs. They're going to cut agencies. One of them, as he mentioned, is the Department of Education. They're talking about others from, they're not going to cut Homeland Security, but there's parts or entities inside of there. They're going through the different agencies from Department of Transportation, Department of Education, all of these agencies, and they're going to cut these agencies, take away the funding and allocate the funding somewhere else. And I wanted to bring this up tonight. It's very important that we think about how we looked at government jobs. I know in my culture, and those that are here know exactly what I'm talking about. We were told or taught or someone shared with us to get a government job because there's job security. We now know there's no such thing. There's never been a such thing, but now it's hitting home. So what we want to think about, and we want to position ourselves, the main reason tonight that we're together is to position, to be aware, to be informed, and to be knowledgeable about what's happening. There are opportunities that I'm going to share with you, but you just heard what he said. They're going to be swift, they're going to be fast, and they're going to happen. Let's move on. So we're talking about the federal workforce. Let's go a little deeper. There's something that's called Schedule F. This is federal workforce restructuring, and it aims to allow agencies to replace employees who may not align with policy goals or who underperform. There's been a stigma in government positions where your tenure keeps you safe. That is no longer the case. They were protected based off of their tenure. If they've been there for 30 years, 15 years, 25 years, that is no longer the case. So we want to think about this and where we are in terms of the sectors that we're in. Let's dive deeper. Let's take a look at what Schedule F represents. One of the things around Schedule F, and the reason why they have Schedule F is enhancing efficiency. If you guys can put your phones on mute, thank you so much. Thank you so much. In enhancing efficiency, it's seen as a way to improve the government's efficiency by removing underperforming workers and bringing in new people that can get things done. We're talking about Schedule F. This is under the federal workforce restructuring. This is part of the agenda that they're calling Workers First agenda, okay? So in their minds and their philosophy is this is enhancing efficiency. Schedule F will help us remove workers that have been there for 15, 20, 25, 30 years and have relied on their tenure to keep them in the government roles. We're getting rid of them if they are not aligned to our policies and if they're not performing at a high level. The second bullet point here is political alignment. The Schedule F is a system. It's going to let administrations hire and fire certain employees more easily, especially in roles that influence policy decisions. Now, one might say, what does more easily mean? As I just stated, it means those that have been secured based off of their tenure in the government. So there are workers that work in the federal government that have been under a security, if you will, based off of their tenure. Their roles have been secure. Now, if there's a role that affects a political decision, if this person is not performing at a high level, they will be fired. They will be let go. The third bullet says Schedule F will help them to improve accountability. Current federal job protections make it difficult to fire underperforming workers, reducing accountability. If you notice, there's a theme with all of these: underperformance and job protection. They want to dismantle that. No longer are you protected based off of your tenure and the fact that you work in the government agency. We just heard Ramaswamy says we're going to do this quick. People will be surprised at how fast we get this done. Now, whether or not you work in the government or not, this is just a sign, and this is also an indication of time. There's a reason why, and I'm going to show you this in a second in another segment here, that you move quickly and with swiftness whenever you have to make decisions, tough or not. And you do it as quickly and as early as possible. Let's keep going. Here's where your opportunity comes in. Even though this will affect a lot of people and it won't be, something that we would wish upon our worst enemy, there are opportunities. President Trump's administration is implementing significant reductions in the federal workforce, aiming to streamline government operations and enhance efficiency. This initiative includes the creation of the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, co-led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. We just heard from him. They're tasked with identifying and eliminating redundant federal agencies and positions. There is increased opportunities for private sector workers. So if you've always wanted to work in the government, but you didn't want to go through all of the red tape and all of the minutia of the levels and the applications, and this is an opportunity for private sector workers to enter government jobs, and for those with leadership and management experience to take on impactful and public service roles. So the opportunity here, and I share with you as we go through each segment, I will share with you what the opportunities are for you. Leadership positions will be at an all-time high. Organizations undergoing restructuring will seek experienced leaders to guide change management processes, ensuring stability and strategic direction. Project-based work, they're going to need people to come in and shift towards a leaner federal workforce, may result in increased reliance on project-based contracts, offering opportunities for professionals to engage in short-term, high-impact assignments. Consulting roles. As federal agencies downsize, there will be a growing need for external consultants to manage transitions, maintain continuity, and provide specialized expertise. So there will be opportunities in the face of these reductions. So again, if this is something, excuse me, that you've always wanted to do or aspired to work in the government, or if you're looking for an opportunity to do something different this year, working in these agencies, making a name for yourself and building your portfolio in the government space is a great space to be in. He will be in office for 4 years. So this is a great opportunity. If you've been thinking about consultant work, if you've been thinking about project-based work, we talk about this inside of my community. If you're not in the community, you can go to IamKellyJackson.com, Kelly with an I, and join the community. It's free. We talk a lot about that, consultant-based work. Some of you have a lot of expertise and knowledge, and you're wondering, how do I leverage that? How do I use that? This is a great opportunity for you to also gain skills and gain additional knowledge and expertise in another space. They're going to be heavy on this government side. Heavy, heavy, heavy. Let's keep going. Let's look at some of the employment policies that could shape the future. So we're going to look at the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, and how will labor law change under Trump presidencies. So let's look at the business-friendly appointments. We're talking about now the National Labor Association. So this is a law attorney that I frequent their newsletter, and they did a good job summarizing some of the appointments. We talked early on the job of the president as it relates to the workforce. He appoints leaders to different agencies. So the agency is the National Labor Relations Board or the Department of Labor. I want to explain to you quickly what's happening right now. This is happening right now. I want to show you what's happening, and then you can make your own judgment on this. With the election of Donald Trump on November 6th, there will be a much more employer-friendly space, like it was during Trump's first administration. However, there are several reasons all employers should stay vigilant and pay close attention to the board during the next 2 months, and possibly during the first 2 years of the Trump administration. So let me give you a little background. The National Labor Relations Board is a 5-person board established by Congress in 1935 for the purpose of safeguarding and adjudicating the rights set forth in the National Labor Relations Act. The NLRA essentially protects the rights of non-management employees to 1, to make or form a union, or 2, engage in protected concerted activities. So these are actions taken by employees, either individually or as a group of employees, to address workplace issues related to their terms and conditions of employment. So let's look at where we are right now. The board, we already talked about what the board is comprised of. It's a 5-person board. The board also, they employ a general counsel. Currently, Jennifer Abruzzo, she's the current general counsel. Now, the general counsel regularly issues memorandums. They're called GC memos, general counsel memos. These set forth changes to existing law that she would like to see the board implement, and asking each of the 32 regional offices, so the 32 different national relations labor board regional office, those general memos go out to all of those regional offices and say, hey, look for these violations, any issues, anything happening out there. And they look for facts and patterns. And this would allow the board to change the law consistent with the memo. So Jennifer, who's the current general counsel for the National Labor Relations Board, she has to write a memo and she has to send it out to the different regions and say, hey, look at these different violations. Look at are there any facts here? That's her job as the general counsel. So what happened and how Jennifer got to be the general counsel? In an unprecedented move, listen to me clearly, y'all. In an unprecedented move, President Biden on Inauguration Day, which was January 20th, 2020, he fired the board's then sitting GC, Peter Robb. Peter was not scheduled to leave the role until the following year in November. But because he fired Peter, this move allowed Jennifer to begin issuing the memos. Remember, she needs to do a general counsel memo to change things that happen in the workforce. Y'all with me? Let me know if I lost you. I want y'all to get this. I want y'all to get this. And so President Biden, on the day, January 20th, he got in office, he fired Peter and he hired Jennifer. All right, we're clear on that, right? So he came in and Peter, remember, Peter was there. So that means Peter was there when Trump was there from 2016 to 2020. He came in on 2020, fired Peter, and now Jennifer's in place. All right. So Abruzzo to begin, they wanted Jennifer to begin issuing these general memos early in President Biden's term with the aim of undoing many of the changes made during the Trump administration and further expanding the rights of employees by making unionization easier and expanding the definition of and the protection afforded to protected concerted activities. Now, I know that's a lot, but basically, Biden came in and said, get rid of Peter. I'm going to hire Jennifer. We want to make this an employee-friendly workforce. Now that I'm here for the next 4 years, we want this to be an employee-friendly workforce. Y'all know where I'm going with this. You know what Trump's going to do, right? Some examples during the past 4 years have been new rules limiting the types of policies that can be included in employee handbooks. So since Jennifer's been in place, one of the new rules has been, listen, you can't put this in an employee handbook. Another one was B, you see it here, making it easier for independent contractors to qualify as employees. Another rule, a general counsel memo, was forcing employers to unionize even without a union election. So they can get together and start a union without an election, despite the fact that employees overwhelmingly voted against unionization. Now, I'm not going to read all of this, but I want you to be clear. One of the running themes here, you all, is the quickness and the speed at which things have to happen. The day of, when Biden got in office in 2020, he fired Peter and hired Jennifer. It is said the same thing is going to happen with Trump. The day of, he's going to fire Jennifer and bring in his general counsel. And what this means, and I don't have time, but I will link this when I replay this. This will be on my YouTube. Make sure you go to my YouTube and follow me there. What this means is whoever he brings in place, Trump brings in place, they have the opportunity now to rescind everything that she's put in place and change it and make it more business friendly. I have a site that I look at. I don't know if I'll be able to show it to you. If we have time, I'll show it to you. And I'll show you some of the memos that are in place and you can go through yourself and take a look at that. So I wanted to just give you that nugget of how this works. And I want you to watch I want you to watch and I want you to listen. This doesn't mean bad or good. This doesn't mean Peter was bad and Jennifer's good and who Trump's bring in is going to be bad or good. We just want to see what's going to be taken away, because if we don't know our rights, then we don't know what we have available to us. Let's go to the third one. Industry-specific impacts. And you want to take notes on this one. You want to take notes on this one because these are the different industries. These are the different focus areas that Trump is going to focus on, basically, when he comes into office in 18 days. Let's take a look at this. We're going to take our time here because I want you to be aware. Let me tell you how I got here and how you want to think about the sector that you're in and the industry that you're in. So when I do research for my private clients that I work with, and I'm looking to see where the demand is based off of their skill set. And now I'm looking ahead because we have a new administration. This is actually the first year I've been in business that I had to contend with an election year. And I've learned a lot over this year, to say the least. So when I do a deep dive and when I take a look at this, I'm starting at the top. I'm looking at the top when it comes to the sectors that we want to focus on using our skills, knowledge, and experience. If you could put yourself on mute, thank you very much. Put yourself on mute. So we look at it from an economic perspective. So we think about the economy, the US economy specifically. Laura G, if you could put yourself on mute, thank you. If we look at the economy, the US economy specifically, we know we have a consumer-based economy, which means that the economy is based on what we spend. And so when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about the stock, I'm thinking about the businesses. So it starts at the top and it trickles down. When we think about the economy, I want to look at the investors. Where are they putting their money? They're going to be focusing on what Trump is focusing on. So if I know that funding is going to go to tech and energy and finance and manufacturing, then I'm going to gear my clients that come to me and say, hey, I'm looking for a new position. I'm going to focus them in those areas. So this is how I want you to think about, if you're thinking of a transition, if you're thinking about a pivot, and where you can best utilize and maximize your skills, your talent, your knowledge, and your abilities, you want to go where there will be sustainability. You want to go where the funding is going to go. You want to go where they're pouring the resources and allocating resources to that sector, to that industry, to that domain. You don't want to be over here in retail and they've already given funding to Jeff Bezos to go ahead and let Amazon just do their thing. People are shopping online now. Why would I want to go work at Macy's? They're closing down CVS, Walmart's, Walgreens, Macy's. They're closing. Why would I focus on retail? I might, if I've been in retail, I might think about e-commerce now. This is strategy. This is being strategic. This is not going to Indeed or LinkedIn, putting in a job title, thinking that all jobs are created equal, because they're not. Your job title is not created equal. What your job title in your place of employment can be called something else somewhere else. So we want to think about, where are investors investing their money? What stock are they buying? What are they purchasing? Are they purchasing NVIDIA chips, NVIDIA stock? Why? Because technology is going to, in my opinion, is going to do a total 360, 380, whatever. We saw all the tech layoffs is coming back. So I wanted to share with you how to think about this. And so based off of that, this is an investment firm that I follow. And I want you to look at some of the focus areas for Trump. One of the most frequently asked questions by investors following Trump's election victory is, what sectors will do well? While much remains unknowable about Trump's second term, his promises made, promises kept statement during his victory speech suggests not all is a mystery. While this Trump presidency may be different to the first, we can make some assumptions about which sectors could outperform. To do this, one must examine the sectors that benefited from the Republican Party's previous policies and Trump's stated agendas. The first one is my favorite one, and that's energy. And I'm going to give you some examples so you can I want you to grasp it. I want you to grasp it. This is important. We'll go through a few. We won't go through them all. And if you want to go to this site, this is robertmontgomery.com. The first sector is energy. I like energy a lot. Think about it. Think about it. What's keeping you warm right now in your house? How do you cook? What do you put in your car when you drive? I like this sector a lot, and so does Trump. Oil and gas falls underneath energy. Trump's administration previously rolled back regulations on fossil fuels and withdrew from the Paris Agreement. This is a renewed focus on domestic energy. That's important. Don't let that go over your head. Don't let that get lost. There's a renewed focus on domestic energy. So if I was making a pivot and if I was making a transition, doesn't matter if you've never worked in the space. Every energy company, every oil company, every gas company has a marketing department. They have a sales department. They have an operations department. They have what else, y'all? They have a finance department. Don't get caught up in the sector because you never worked in it. Each of these businesses have a department that you've worked in. I'm not going to go through them all, but this gives you a good idea of the focus areas. You see cybersecurity on there, you see travel. Now, let me give you some examples so I can bring it home to you. Let's look at, this is it here, where your opportunities lie. As I mentioned, each of these segments, I'm going to share with you your opportunities. So let's look at a few of these. So I just talked about energy. That's one of my favorites. Underneath energy, there's oil, gas, and coal. And I know it's pretty small, but these are just examples I wanted to share with you. Project management. Experienced professionals can lead large-scale energy projects such as oil drilling operations or coal facility upgrades. Regulatory compliance. As deregulation increases, companies will need experts to ensure remaining legal requirements are met. Engineering and operations. This is where I worked when I worked at Microsoft. I was in E&O. If you have an engineering background, it can transition into roles designing and maintaining energy infrastructure. Environmental risk assessment. With the potential uptick in fossil fuel production, companies will require skilled professionals to assess and mitigate environmental impacts. Now, I won't read all of these, but I wanted to give you an example. And again, I'm going to upload this. Give me about a week. I know it takes me a minute sometimes. I'm going to get this up on YouTube. But you can also take a snapshot of the screen if you want to as well. Defense and aerospace. I like this one a lot as well. I like this one a lot too. Financial services. I know I have a few of my clients on the call. Financial services. This is a great space. This is a great space. And if you break it down, you can see some of the areas you can work in finance, compliance and risk, technology implementation, leadership roles. Construction and infrastructure. This is another one of my favorites. I know I keep saying that, but it's one of my favorites because it's not going anywhere. When I think about midlife, when I think about what's going to be around, construction and infrastructure aren't going anywhere. This is how you be strategic. This is how you stop being tactical and just go into the job boards and you start to be strategic and say, you know what? I work in marketing, but I want to work in marketing in the construction space. So let me start looking over there. Right? So you think about construction and infrastructure, you got project and site management, you got civil engineer, you got sales and procurement. Another good one, all of these are really good, pharmaceutical and biotechnology. All right, so this is just giving you some ideas. Again, you can go to that site that I would just share with you and you can check out all of the different sectors of some of his focus areas. They're the main four are energy, finance, tech, and manufacturing. If you're thinking or considering a pivot this year, I want you to consider those four areas. And there's a lot that encompasses each of those areas. All right, I think I drilled that home. I think I drilled that home. Now, let me just check. I thought I saw some chat. Did I have some questions, y'all? Or y'all just talking? Back to the, yes, Derek. Yes. Come on, biotech. Come on, I know that's right. All right, y'all, this is probably the most important part that I'm getting ready to share right here. I need you all to pay attention to this part right here. This is the most important part of the presentation today. So we talked about in the state of the workforce, we talked earlier about the governing philosophy. What is the role of the president as it relates to the workforce? What is his responsibility to us, right? We talked about the America First agenda, and I showed you how to navigate through that. You can just Google americafirst.com and you can rewatch this if you like, but I want you to go there and I want you to sign up, right? I want you to remove your emotions. Whatever you feel, I want you to be informed. So let's take away our emotions and let's be informed. Sign up for the newsletter or whatever and just stay informed, okay? We talked about Vivek and Elon will be leading the charge for DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. I want you to watch that closely. If you're inside of our community, you can go to iamkellyjackson.com, Kelly with an I am Kelly with an I am kellyjackson.com. Join the community, it's free, because I'll break all of this down. I couldn't, of course, put all of this in an hour presentation, but I will break all of this down in the community for the year. Because it was an election year, because they're going to come in full force and they're coming like a bull in a china shop, a lot is going to happen. It's going to happen quickly. So if you want to stay informed, come inside the community and stay plugged in. This next part, I want you all to listen up really, 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 really closely. These are talent tiers. This is the most important part of the presentation because if your foundation is not set, y'all heard this, the house build, what did it say, y'all? House built on straw or built on sand? Whatever you build your career on, this is going to determine the sustainability and how long you will last over these next 4 years. These talent tiers are important. And I want you to be real with yourself. I want you to be real with yourself as we go through these. Let's go through them now. There are opportunities. Okay, here's what we know. Throughout history, workforce transformation has been driven by shifts in technology, policy, and societal needs. Today, as we look toward 2025, these forces are reshaping not only how we work, but who drives innovation and sustains industries. At the heart of this transformation is a dynamic discussion about talent. This is happening underground. The discussions are this: where do we get our talent from now? How do we cultivate it? And how is it utilized? You notice tonight I didn't talk about immigration. I know there's a big discussion that's happening right now inside of this presidency, but I did take a piece out of there and I'm talking about it right now. This conversation, recently reignited by debates around immigration and talent acquisition, exposes a critical reality. The workforce is not a monolith. A monolith is just like one big chunk or one stone. If you could put your phone on mute, please, thank you. A monolith is just one blob, right? Something in stone. A monolith, it is not. The workforce is very diverse. The workforce has nuances. There's levels. It's diversity. So the workforce operates on multiple levels, each requiring a distinct strategy to thrive in a competitive, globalized economy. I'm gonna read that last sentence again because I don't think they heard me in the back. Currently, as it states, right now, there are levels to this. This conversation is happening. There are multiple levels. They categorize you and they put you in a category. And each of these levels requires a strategy in order to thrive because it's competitive and it is now global. Let's look at the levels. Here's the first one. Elite talent. I want you to type in the chat or put it to yourself if you don't want to share. Which one of these are you? The first talent tier, and these are the tiers that's being discussed. There are 3. This is the first one. This is the top. And there's only 0.1% of professionals with highly specialized, cutting-edge expertise, particularly in fields like AI, machine learning, advanced engineering, and biotechnology. These are individuals who possess rare skills and are globally sought after by top firms and organizations. That's the description of elite talent. Here's what it means. It represents critical talent shortages where global competitiveness and national security are at stake. So if I'm a professional in 2025 and I'm looking to make a lot of money and I'm looking to make a transition from where I am currently, and because we don't settle and we don't shrink and we do not play small, we all want to be elite. So the question now becomes, how do we get to the elite status if we're not already there? That's the meaning. Here's the opportunity for you. For some of us, we don't have to compete in this space to be elite talent, but we can contribute as mentors, project managers, or consultants to integrate elite talent into broader organizational goals. So I'm sharing with you, okay, Kelly, I don't know AI, machine learning, advanced engineering, or biotech, but I want a piece of this elite action. I know all of you have a depth of knowledge in a space. So I would be aligning myself either in the space or with someone who aspires to go into the space because they may have the technical skills, but they still need the soft skills to go with it. That's why I love the consultant space so much. I did this for years with Accenture. I did it a lot when I worked with the city of Atlanta to build the Atlanta Beltline. This is an opportunity to get exposure and gain exposure to other ways to leverage your skills, knowledge, talent, and ability. And again, I'll be talking more about this inside the community. If you're not in there, go to I am Kelly, Kelly with an I am kellyjackson.com. So that's where if you're saying, okay, where's my opportunity to be elite? And we have a couple other levels to go to. Here's some more examples for you. I wanted to make sure you had examples if you're thinking about this. Your experience, think about your current experience. Leadership and ability to manage teams make them uniquely valuable in roles that support and enable elite talent to thrive. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. Supporting and assisting those with elite talent to thrive. This is how you can use your experience as well. So mentorship is the first one. I won't read them all. You can mentor some of the younger talents, the highly skilled individuals who may excel technically but lack industry-specific knowledge. So if you have someone that has industry-specific knowledge in a space, let's say you worked in healthcare, but you've been in healthcare for 25 years, but you've been doing whatever you do, and they come in with all this AI and machine learning, and they have to help, build a robot to do surgery or whatever. They don't know healthcare, but they do know all the programming languages. You complement their skills. So you leverage your skills and knowledge and talent to complement their technical skills. And you do this as a consultant. This is how you get into this type of space and on this type of level. So mentorship, project management, this is something that we're rolling out as well inside the community if you're not in there. And then consulting. So that's one of the levels. Let's go to the next level. So we talked about the elite level. Let's look at the next one. Highly skilled labor. Again, these are levels that's being created currently. This is a conversation that's happening currently. If you're on X, you may have seen this. They talk about this in some of the underground conversations. This is what's happening right now. There's levels. We talked about the elite level, highly skilled labor, professionals with advanced but more widely attainable skills such as software development, data analysis, healthcare specialization, or renewable energy expertise. This group supports innovation and operational excellence. Now, I just named a few here. There is a long list. So if you support innovation and operations, and you're a part of this list as well. That's the description. What is the meaning? The meaning is it represents a growing demand for technical expertise to keep pace with emerging industries. The policies in place, policy discussions focus on improving training programs and reforming immigration systems to attract and retain these workers. So we're talking about the workers first agenda and some of the policies under Trump. And so the highly skilled talent coming from India, some of it's coming from the Asian region as well. These are some of the conversations that the need now, based off of technology and some of the more emerging industries, as it says right here under the meaning, we need talent that's highly skilled. We need a place where they're cultivating these skills. In India, they have schools just for, STEM, starting from elementary all the way through college. There's a shortage. We need this skill. So if I'm here in the US and I'm 52, 47, 46, 48, 59, and I know that this incoming president there's going to be a high focus on technology and manufacturing and energy and finance, I'm right now positioning myself so that I can be aligned to these industries and I could leverage what I already know. I don't want to go back to school. I don't really want to start over and do another career in another. I want to use what I have. So how can I position myself and maximize the talent I currently have? Here's an example: reskilling into adjacent fields or upskilling to move into highly skilled roles. That doesn't mean going back to school for 4 years, 6 years, or 8 years. Reskill. That means do it again. Upskill. If you currently, like myself, I'll take myself for an example. I know recruiting, but now I may have to learn how to do AI recruiting. That's upskilling. How do I do that? Adding on to what I already know. This experience can add value in leadership, operational strategy, or training programs for less experienced peers. Let's go to the last one and then we'll wrap up. General workforce talent, professionals who excel in foundational roles that drive daily operations and ensure organizational stability. These include individual contributors in areas like administration, customer support, sales, marketing, and operational roles. They form the backbone of corporate functions, executing critical tasks that keep businesses running efficiently and effectively. That's the description. What does it mean? It means that it's critical to sustaining economic activity, but often under-recognized in policy discussions. That's what that means. In some of the policies, it represents areas where investment in training, wages, and career growth opportunities can create upward mobility. So there is discussion around that. How do we train those that are in the general workforce? How do we increase their wages and offer career growth opportunities? Transitioning into roles that support or manage this talent, such as workforce development, HR operations, where their leadership experience can drive efficiency and morale. So you want to think about, if you're in this category, how do I align myself and make contributions to those that are elite talent or highly skilled? This is something you want to think about. Where do you find yourself? Where do you find yourself? All right. So to wrap things up, we want to think about your next move. As we've explored today, the Workers First agenda, it opens up a world of possibilities for professionals who are ready to pivot and align their careers with emerging trends. The sectors we discussed, manufacturing, energy, finance services, and beyond, are set to thrive. But here's the thing: thriving within these opportunities requires clarity, strategy, and a willingness to adapt. For many midlife professionals, the challenge isn't about lack of experience or skills. It's about knowing how to position yourself in a market that's changing faster than ever. And while the shifts may feel overwhelming, They're also an incredible opportunity to leverage the expertise you've built over the years. And finally, your next move, make it your best move. The key takeaways is this: the future belongs to those who can align their strengths with the direction industries are heading. It's not about starting over, it's about starting smarter, knowing where to focus and having a clear plan to make your next move count. If today's discussion sparked ideas, questions, or even a sense of possibility, I encourage you to take the next step, whether it's mapping out your transition, identifying the right sector for your skills, or exploring how to navigate these shifts with confidence. The time to prepare for the opportunities of 2025 isn't tomorrow, it's today.